Okay, so let's talk about the is it a disease, is it not a disease conversation. What is the downside of calling it a disease? If the point of calling it a disease means that we're going to treat it aggressively and try to eliminate it, because we know that obesity leads to more than a dozen different types of cancer. It leads to negative outcomes for ASCVD and stroke risk, and on and on and on and on and on. Why would we not want to call it a disease so that we can treat it aggressively?
I think the risk, the concern that most people would have is overtreatment. And overtreatment being a controversial way, but I think that's what the average person would say is, I don't have any health issues beyond my weight, so I don't want to be treated for anything. And I think that's where ultimately this starts to get down to, how do we proceed from here?
Okay. So the element of I don't have any issues beyond my weight, I seem to remember there being something about that in all of this.
Yeah. Preclinical obesity is a state of excess adiposity with preserved functioning of other tissues and organs.
Meaning everything works the way it's supposed to.
Yes. That's kind of the example I brought up is, yes, I know my weight's like this, but my blood pressure's fine, my liver's fine, my kidneys are fine. How do you convince potentially somebody like that to maybe get treatment for, weight loss, for any maybe possible blood sugar issues that are starting to arise, maybe have a lower goal for LDL, et cetera? How do you maybe recategorize them, and still without upsetting them and giving them medications or treatments that they don't want? So it's I can see why somebody would. So again, my initial thought is, yeah, the risk of type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular disease, certain types of cancers is, to me, would be worth that risk.
Right.
But there's other people that just don't want intervened early. And so that's why I think first step was cleaning up the definition. Because if you start getting rid of, hey, yeah, I know my BMI is 37, but look how big that kind of stuff, you start cleaning that up. And so it's something that can be more, I think, accurately diagnosed, and that people are comfortable when they're put in that bucket. And then from there, how do you communicate that their increased risk is reason enough for treatment? And and it's all individual. Doesn't mean every single thing you check a box and do. But to me, I think that those risks are, type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular disease, cancer risk.
It kind of has really boiled down to an intense argument of semantics, basically.
Yes, it all seems very semantics oriented.
Those in opposition of even calling obesity a disease, it's basically that, you can't just explain this without saying, oh, your risk of type 2 diabetes, this other thing increases. Oh, cardiovascular, that's not directly the disease. And so kind of like everything else, you talk about hypertension, you can explain that you can get into the whole pathophysiology of hypertension, and you can directly measure it, and you can see the damage and the inflammation that it's causing in vasculature, et cetera. Much easier to define. The presence of bacteria in the lungs, is it some sort of infection? You can measure it. The argument is that this is different. We just, we can't actually separate obesity like those other conditions. And with the new definition, this reframing, it's sort of like, hey, yeah, you can. We can talk about it in and of itself and show all these debilitating things that the excess, adiposity is causing, or
could
just,
cause.
It's just in and of itself it's just inherent to the disease.
Yeah.
Versus like, you're just running the risk to all these other, these other issues. So that's what's I find interesting.